Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, my ex came back and she's demanding I pay child support. 7 years ago, I was married to my dear ex. We were together for 6 years at this point. I thought we had a great relationship and I had received a nice inheritance. I used the money first to buy a condo for us to live in, a new car for her because hers was falling apart, and as a thank you for her constant support over the years, and the rest went to starting my own company. I thought we loved each other. We had talked endless times about having kids. We both wanted a family. One day when I came home from work, she was seated on the couch and signaled for me to sit next to her. Then she told me that she was pregnant. I was shocked because we are both women. I started to cry for what this meant. Then she started to cry too and say, sorry, but that this could be a good thing now. I asked how on earth could this be a good thing? And she said that this could be the perfect opportunity to us to have the family we always wanted. I didn't have the energy to argue at that point, so I went and packed some things and told her I was going to go stay with my cousin for a few days and come back to talk. I was a complete disaster with my cousin for a week. Then I returned, said I wanted a divorce, packed all of the rest of my things, while she told me that she can't do this without me, and that I'm abandoning our kid. I said nothing. I couldn't even speak. I didn't have it in me to do anything but pack and leave. In the divorce, I let her have the condo, her car, which was in my name, and she demanded alimony. I gave it to her for a year, even though she wasn't really entitled to it. She demanded child support too, but was denied for obvious reasons. A year later, it was done. A month before the divorce was finalized, I met a woman. I wasn't sure about dating, but my friends encouraged me to get back out there, so I did. It was slow. I told her about my past, and she felt really bad for me. We went on dates, we kissed. Then she stopped responding to my texts and calls for a week. I didn't know what was happening. She then shows up at my home looking sad. She tells me she's pregnant, to which I think, not again. But she quickly explains that she found out a few days ago. She had an appointment that day and was told that she was about 16 weeks along. But she did not cheat since we had known each other for 3 months. That she knows this might be somehow triggering for me, that she really likes me, but understands if I want nothing to do with her, and left. Ultimately, I couldn't let her go, and we stayed together. The whole ordeal was a bit confusing at first, but we worked it out. Now my company is on the rise, and it's been for years. We bought a house, got married, had 2 more kids, a dog and a cat. Her family loves me, and my family loves her. But then last Saturday, my ex showed up. We were in a family gathering on my wife's side when she showed up to my wife's aunt's house to expose me as a horrible person who abandoned her wife and kid and left them with nothing to go start a new family with a jerk and raise someone else's kid, and that since I have money, I have to start paying the overdue child support, blah blah blah. Apparently, she befriended my wife's cousin's wife in PTA, told her about me, she gave my name, and my wife's cousin's wife was shocked and appalled by my actions and decided they were going to confront me in the family gathering for everyone to hear and show them the evidence. My wife tried to argue back, but was cut off by her aunt, cousin's mom, and in a not very nice way kicked us out with a promise to take my treatment of my ex public and ruin my company. We left stunned, and my wife vowed she was going to start a war if anyone dared to slander me. On Sunday morning, we got a call from my wife's dad, her aunt's brother, to talk about what the texts and voicemails they were receiving were about. They didn't go to the gathering. We went over for lunch and explained everything that had happened. They knew I got divorced in the past, but I never told them why. They were understanding of the situation, but my mother-in-law still said that since I do have money, I should help out my ex, pay the child support, get her a place if she needs it, and be a parental figure in my ex's daughter's life. After all, the baby was conceived during your marriage. She has some odd spiritual beliefs. My wife is now mad at her mom for saying that. My wife's siblings are mostly on our side, except one who's close to cousin and believes his wife, and we've been ignoring the extended family. Update. First, I want to clear some things. I saw a lot of people get fixated on the fact that I gave the condo to my ex. I get it, but in the moment, I was just so low. I still had some love for her too, I guess, and I wanted to get rid of everything. So I thought, well, she will need a place for her and her kid, and it will be faster to just give it up to her. So I did, even against my lawyer's advice. My wife did not cheat on me. She hooked up with someone weeks before we even met. Then we met. A month after that, we went on our first date. 2 months into our relationship, she finds out she was pregnant. We talked and moved forward, but slowly. We didn't move in together the next day. We just stayed together to see how things would go. It could have ended at any time, but it didn't, and we moved in together when her kid was about 1 year old. Mother-in-law has some weird spiritual thing with some of her friends going on since forever. It never bothered me really, but I do think some of her views are questionable. Update 2. It's been a few weeks. Ex hasn't showed up at my door again since last time, thank the universe. She did, however, show up at my office looking for me last Monday, but I wasn't there, as I'm now working mostly from home to help my wife, who's on bed rest for the foreseeable future due to complications with her next pregnancy. I did go to the office on Thursday, and as I was leaving to go home, my ex's sister was waiting for me. We were close back then, but cut contact when the whole cheating thing happened, and my therapist basically advised me to. Anyway, she said she's been coming for a few days and waiting outside, hoping to see me, and she needed to talk to me and it was really important. So we went to a cafe nearby, and she told me what my ex has been up to since the divorce. She sold the condo about 1.5 years after the divorce was finalized and moved into a house that she's renting. She said ex said it was a quick way to make money to buy all the stuff a kid would need growing up. As the time went on, her family saw stranger than normal behaviors in her. I'm not going to go into too much detail, otherwise we'd be here a long time, but essentially she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder about 2 years ago and was treated for a bit, but then she stopped. I talked to my lawyer, and he said that makes some things tricky, as she could defend not guilty by reason of insanity, but the fact that she's been refusing treatment for a while now would help my case. Sister said that she's sorry for how ex is acting, and she would help me with whatever I need with the case. She's still around her sister to try and mitigate her episodes for the sake of her niece. I asked why the authorities haven't gotten involved, and she said her parents are butting in for that not to happen. I couldn't stay longer. I had to get home before my sister-in-law had to leave, so we exchanged numbers and we'll be in contact if we need it. I have the hearing for the permanent restraining order this week, so hopefully that goes well. Also, she told me that my ex let it slip that she's not even sure who the biological dad is, because she was hooking up with 4 different people around the time that she conceived. When I learned this, I felt even more stupid that she wasn't just hooking up with one, and I had no clue. My girlfriend lied to me about an emergency to test my commitment to her. My girlfriend, who's 29, Andrea, and I, 29 male, have been together for a few months now. Everything has gone smoothly until yesterday when she pulled off a ridiculous stunt. She called me late at night to say that she's seriously hurt and having panic attacks and that no one is with her right now as her parents are out, which was true, they weren't home. She said that she's also got some chest pain and she thinks she's in real danger and that she's in a really bad state and can hardly breathe. She was heaving while she spoke. She begged me to help her, said that she's already called 911, but that she also wanted to let me know, and I was shocked. I took my car to rush towards her house, and it was only after reaching that I found out that she was joking about it. She met me joyfully and said that she only wanted to see how committed I am during an emergency, as that's an essential part of a relationship or something. I lost my temper and asked her what the heck her problem was. She said that she was just testing me, and I got ticked off. I called her some not nice names, and I told her that I did not deserve to be treated like this. She was crying and saying that she only wanted to check whether I'm a good fit and that I overreacted. I left the house immediately and haven't talked to her since. She's been texting me, but I just ignored her. Am I the jerk? Update. After talking to her about it, I've decided to give her a second chance. She's apologized a lot and promised to never do that again. I'll be more careful, of course, and I won't be trusting her blindly. But I have thought that I'd give her one chance, especially since she's shown herself to be regretful. Not the jerk. Run. She intentionally put you in a state of panic, causing you to drive in that state of panic, which is a recipe for disaster. An accident waiting to happen. You need to focus on the fact that she never gave your feelings any thought at all. To dismiss your feelings, she would have had to consider them. She didn't even think about you at all. Your panic was what she was looking for. It made her happy. It made her laugh. That's how sociopaths feel. If you were hurt in an accident on your way to help her, it would have been a home run for her. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his girlfriend? Please let us know. It was messed up what girlfriend did. There's no reason to do stupid things like that. But I think it's kind of a stretch to say that she would have been happy if he had been hurt on the way there. Am I the jerk for not cooking Thanksgiving dinner and spending the day at the beach instead? I, 27 female, have solely been responsible for cooking Thanksgiving dinner for 20 plus people for the last 8 years. I do all of the shopping, cooking, and setting up. Months before Thanksgiving, I start looking at grocery prices and tweaking recipes to fit dietary restrictions. Caribbean family, vegans and pescatarians, meat eaters. I also make enough for the college-aged kids to have leftovers. I usually make 3 turkeys, 2 party pans of mac and cheese, and a party pan of mashed potatoes, stuffing, green bean casserole, collard greens, yams, all sorts of stuff, from scratch. Plus, all the desserts, apple pie, sweet potato pie, cheesecake, homemade ice cream, and breads also from scratch. I start making stocks and doughs Tuesday night. I bake my bread for stuffing and make my cheesecake and pies Wednesday after work. Cook all day Thursday so we can sit down and start eating by 4 so my aunts who work the night shift as nurses can enjoy. Every year people invite unexpected guests and it becomes 30 plus. I would be okay if it were plus ones, but my mom invites her friends and their kids. My mom and aunt ask me to make additional turkeys and some sides for their units. I never feel appreciated for everything I do to make it special and accommodate everyone. This year, I'm separated from my husband, and I really don't feel like bending over backwards cooking for people who don't even leave me leftovers to make a sandwich the next day. This year, I've decided not to cook and just spend my day at the beach, the only bonus to living in Florida. I was asked how much the adults should Zelle me for Thanksgiving groceries at the beginning of the month, and I told them I'm not cooking. Today, I received a Zelle from my uncle, and when I returned it, he asked why. I reminded him and the family group chat that I wasn't cooking. Now they want me to cancel my plans and cook. Am I the jerk for not wanting to? Edit. This is my favorite holiday, but my separation has left me emotionally exhausted and without any passion to cook. Edit. I don't actually mind cooking for the family. I look forward to it. The unexpected guests a little. The thing bothering me this year is that I expected to spend the only holiday I look forward to with my husband. I wanted to share the dishes that I love and scheduled chaos with him. I'm upset because I don't have my husband. They may not understand it, but I took on this holiday because I enjoyed it. Update. I listened to you guys and I didn't cook. The weather wasn't the best, so I didn't end up at the beach, but I sat by the pool and did some work and journaling. I enjoyed margaritas by the pool and wine at dinner. I don't know how I was able to drink all day and get everything done by 4 p.m. Dinner was late. We didn't end up eating until 6 p.m., so the people who worked that night just took to-go plates and couldn't eat with us. My mom called a few times from the kitchen, asking how to turn on the oven, make a pre-made ham and turkey. My aunt asked for the recipes that I previously emailed and asked if I could come over and supervise. I ignored the calls and texts. I did end up carving 2/3 of the turkey and helped clean up and went back to bed. My mom's friend ended up bringing herself and 6 other people empty-handed. The creepy family friend did the usual, show up empty-handed, eat, grab to-go plates, and leave. My cousins were bummed they didn't get leftovers for finals. They were also shocked to see that their favorites weren't made and it didn't taste the same. No one took leftovers home besides my mom's friends, and they cleaned us out. I think they finally realized how much work goes into it because my aunt complained that she had to go to multiple stores even though she was making 1/3 of the food. My mom ordered from the fresh market, and that was too much. Thanksgiving Day, my husband and I spoke and had a great conversation about moving forward with the separation, what it's going to look like for us financially, and a rough timeline of when we should be legally divorced. Saturday morning, I get a call from my husband's local hospital saying that he was injured while running. He had a stress fracture that resulted in a complete break in multiple places and needs surgery. Since I'm legally still his wife and he has not updated his emergency contact, I flew up and I'm currently at his bedside hoping I can get his family out here to take over. He didn't expect to wake up with me being there, but he was happy and thinks we should try counseling. All in all, I'm emotionally drained. Working from his bedside, I should be able to take him back to our house tomorrow and get him set with his family and friends to take over. It's been nice being in a cold city and seeing him after so long, but I'm sure this marriage is over. Am I the jerk for kicking out my friend and ending the party after she fed my dog a treat? I, 28 female, always knew that once I could live alone, I wanted to have a dog. When I moved, I had that opportunity in the form of a relative's pet that needed to be rehomed. She was already very old, 13, deaf, and generally needed a lot of attention. It's been a year, and I love this dog. She truly changed my life. I'm absolutely an annoying dog mom. She's also very allergic to something that her vet and I are trying to figure out what it is. It manifests in dry, flaky skin that she will itch hard enough to bleed. We're trying a food allergy trial. This means she's on a very specific diet of a prescription dry food until a trial period of 8 to 9 weeks is over. If she does get something off menu, we have to start the trial period over. Most of my friends know this because I always complain how expensive the food is. Cut to the party. I invited a few close friends of mine to my place for a holiday shindig. Living far away, work, etc. usually keeps us apart, so I was super excited. I ordered us McDonald's. We all agreed beforehand to split a big order because why not, and made a ton of jokes to my dog about how none of it is for you, young lady, in front of everyone. I'll admit, this was a thinly veiled reminder for everyone else too. The food comes and we're all having a good time. I step away to find my friend, who's 25, and she's dropping a piece of fish fillet from my dog to gobble up in the kitchen. I freak out and ask her what she's doing. Again, my dog is deaf, so she just kept pawing at my friend for another piece, which she gave her, saying, "But she's so cute. A little piece of fish can't hurt her." I'll admit, I kind of lost it. We were 6 weeks into the trial, and now I would have to start all over, buying so much more expensive food. I'm sure I went off on her. I don't really remember. I saw red. I do remember telling everyone that I'm sorry, but I'm too angry to enjoy or host a party right now, and asked everyone to leave. I told them to also feel free to take the remaining food and don't worry about paying me for their shares since I'm the reason the party is ending early. The next day, I apologized to my friend for yelling. She seemed very hurt and isn't very open to continuing the conversation. She says she honestly forgot and didn't see the harm. To be fair, fish was on the list of things that I don't suspect she's allergic to and may have mentioned that to the group. My dog is also on other medications that stop any harmful reactions to off-list foods. At most, she'll get flaky skin, but not super itchy or upset stomach or anything. My friends overall seem pretty split. Half the group thinks I'm justified and aren't upset with me for ending the party. The other half thinks that I'm overreacting over a piece of fish. Not the jerk. You don't feed another person's dog without permission, ever. For the last 2 years of my dog's life, she was on an extremely strict diet. Anything outside of this diet gave her pain and diarrhea. On top of that, she was incontinent due to her conditions, causing muscle waste. I do want to add that there are some grains and proteins that dogs often can't tolerate. Mine was very allergic to anything corn or poultry. Like even a whisper of those two ingredients would have serious effects on her. I'm so sorry you had to backtrack. Mine also did the food elimination diet via the vet, but it was a bit different than yours. Plus, I know their fish is breaded and fried, so it could have still affected your food trial. Am I the jerk for paying $21,000 to send my kid to private school behind my ex-wife's back? Our son is 8 and has an incredible curiosity about the world. His first and second grade teachers gave nothing but glowing praise in regards to both his intellectual growth and his demeanor. However, his third grade year has not gone well. His teacher has sent us several emails stating that our son does not pay attention in class and he's cold towards his classmates. When his mother and I asked him how school is going, he tells us that he hates it. He said, "All the teacher does is yell at the class to stop talking. Then the kids keep talking and we never do anything. I hate being there." I can see the light fading from his eyes every day, and every Sunday night, mid-September, he cries that he doesn't want to go to school. My son lives with his mother and spends weekends with me. We all live in the same town, and I would describe the relationship between his mother and I as cooperative, but bad feelings persist. I asked my son a few weeks ago if he wanted to change schools, and he said absolutely. I asked his mother if she would have any issue with me sending him to a highly regarded private school about 17 miles from our town. She reacted in a way that was not expected. She said I was being ridiculous and that it would be an undue burden on her to take him to a different school. Fair, and it would be unfair to her other kids if only one of her kids got to go to a private school. I added that I would take him and drop him off every day and pay for it 100%, and she still said no. I told her I don't want our son to waste his potential, nor do I want to fail him as a father. In essence, she responded that our son is just being a brat because he's bored. I registered him at this school and I paid the tuition. He starts in August. I told him what I had done and he was so excited. Naturally, upon hearing this news, his mother was angry. All she said was, "Fine, you tell him he isn't going because you think he's a brat." Am I the jerk? Her other kids are not yours, right? OP. Correct. Then not the jerk. She's not a good mom for how she's treating him. Half-siblings whose non-shared parents have different means get treated differently. That's just how life works. Besides, if your wife is currently with her other kid's father, then it's also not fair that your son has divorced parents while his siblings don't. Courts may not look favorably on you enrolling him without his mom's permission. I'm not sure, but I do think you might want to try for more custody. It really wouldn't surprise me if your son is starting to get treated as the black sheep in that household, especially as time goes on and the siblings get older. Am I the jerk for divorcing my wife after she changed her mind about having kids? I know how that sounds, but I just feel like I'm losing my mind. Before and after marriage, we've talked about and planned our future down to the very city we'd live in, and kids were always a part of it. Well, around September, I brought up when she'd want to start trying for a kid, and she got really cold and told me that she didn't want any. At first, I thought she may have gotten some health news, and when I told her that we could adopt if the idea of pregnancy wasn't for anymore, she kind of snapped on me and said that she wasn't trying to have this conversation at the time. A few days after this, I sat her down and asked what made her change her mind, and she got really frustrated with me that I'd even ask and pretty much said she doesn't need to explain herself to me. Since those two conversations, it was so strange. She kept trying to just move on and act as if those conversations never happened. So I straight up told her that we have to actually talk about it because this is bizarre. She told me I'm not gonna make her talk about anything. So the last couple of months have basically been her frustrated that I won't let this go. The kids thing is a big part of it, but if I just knew what was going on, I'd feel better. So I brought up divorce, and she told me that I'm trying to strong-arm her into giving birth. Not the jerk. Her refusing to even discuss it is the problem. You're not trying to strong-arm anyone. You're trying to have a healthy conversation about something that you believe the two of you were on the same page about, and she changed her mind. Just get the divorce and move on. She doesn't want kids, and having kids with her would be a huge mistake. Not the jerk. At this point, divorce is the only solution. If she relents and agrees to have a baby, she'll resent you and the baby. Just make your plans and file for divorce and hope it goes smoothly. Karen neighbor tries to steal my package. Huge mistake. So I had been waiting for my package that cost $700. Was waiting for it like a hawk. I got a notification that the package was about 2 stops away, so I started watching live stream of my security camera waiting for the guy to deliver it. Amazon guy came and put a small envelope inside my mailbox, and I saw him take my big box to the neighbor across the street, and I saw that he rang the doorbell. The neighbor came out and they took it in. First, I thought, okay, maybe it's not mine. So I checked my orders and it said, delivered, handed directly to resident. That's when I knew it was in fact my package. I decided to wait about 30 minutes to give the neighbor a chance to bring it back, to just drop it off at my doorstep. But when I saw that she was not returning my package, I got my coat on and went straight to their house, rang the doorbell and said, "Hi, I'm your neighbor from across the street. I saw that Amazon dropped off my package to your house, and it looks like they dropped off yours at mine." The woman immediately said, "Oh, I was confused. I thought my husband had ordered it." It was obvious she had every intention to keep it. The package came in 3 boxes, a really big one, another one sealed inside of it, and then another box, the actual item, inside of that second box. To my surprise, she had already opened the boxes. I don't believe for 1 second that she was confused. The label had my name and address right next to the part where she had to pull off the tape to open the big box. So then, she just wanted to give me the box of the actual item, which thankfully was still sealed. I guess she didn't open that one because she could see what it was and was probably gonna wait to see if anyone would claim it. And I said, no, I'm gonna need the other 2 boxes as well in case I need to return it. I watched her struggling to put all the boxes back into the big box, and then she gave it to me. I gave her her small envelope that Amazon dropped off at my house, untampered and sealed, and said thank you, which I regret saying because not one time did she say sorry or thank you. I bet she's done this before and just keeps packages that aren't hers. But the audacity to receive the package and open it. Had she lied and said she didn't receive it, I would have shown her the security footage, but I gave her no option to say that she didn't receive it. Honestly, if she had opened it by mistake and then brought it back to me apologizing for opening the package because she assumed it was hers, I would have been grateful and said not to worry and thanked her for bringing it back. I gave her the chance and the time to bring it back, but she did not. Now I refer to that house as the House of Thieves. I'd also report the delivery driver that claimed it was delivered and handed directly to resident, since it clearly wasn't. OP. Yeah, I already contacted Amazon. Do you have an HOA you can report your neighbor to? There's no telling how many other packages she's stolen like this. I can't believe the audacity of some people. Who in the right mind would just keep a package that obviously isn't for them? The driver himself really messed up too, and I hope you report him to Amazon. Every time I've reported a driver for being an idiot, I usually don't see them delivering anymore after that, so I'm thinking they get replaced once they get a complaint. I don't know where they find these people, to be honest. They deserve the jump scare they get from my fake rattlesnake that I leave by the front door. Oh, that is so not cool. Amazon drivers are the worst. Like, how hard is it to check the address before you drop off a package? I definitely report them to the higher-ups and be sure to follow up on it. I had a friend that delivered for Amazon, and he said that drivers typically suffer no consequences for their complaints unless you reach out to corporate directly, which will usually result in them getting fired. Call me crazy, but what if she just didn't check the label? Unless I'm expecting a package, I just assume whatever arrives is for my wife, so I leave it in the kitchen somewhere that she will see it. I think you've been reading too many of these Reddit stories, and you might be assuming your neighbors are out to get you. Reddit, the place where being the voice of reason gets you downvoted to heck. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his neighbor? Please let us know. Am I the jerk for printing out a map of the grocery store for my dad? I, 18 female, am the only daughter in a family of 4 boys, 15, 13, 10, and 8. Our dad is pretty much a single parent since he and our mom divorced when the boys were younger, and mom lives out of the country with her husband. It's more or less become my job to be the mother 2.0, which is fine, I guess. I'm doing college online, so it's not like I wouldn't be home to do stuff anyway. One of my unofficial jobs is to help my dad grocery shop. I used to go with him to do it, and I would make the list myself, and I'd just grab whatever we needed. But now that I drive the boys around for their extracurriculars, and I'm busy with school or chores when I'm not helping them, I really don't have the time. I just started writing the list and giving it to my dad so he could go out and get what we needed. Every single time this man has gone to the grocery store by himself, he's either completely forgotten about the list, remembered the list, then lost it, remembered the list but ignored it, or somehow could not find more than half of the things on it. It's hard to cook an actual dinner when literally half of what he ends up bringing home is frozen meals and pasta sauce, but no pasta. I've brought it up to him, but Dad keeps saying that if I would just make time to go with him, or if I went on my own, it would probably be easier to get what we needed. I said that we could switch jobs, so he takes the boys to their things and I get groceries, but he said he doesn't know their schedules and he wouldn't want to mess it up for them. He said he'd go grocery shopping today and asked me to go with him, but I was working on some stuff for my finals before I had to drive the 10-year-old and the 8-year-old to their practices, so I couldn't go. I started making the list like I usually do, but because I didn't want to end up with only half of what I had put on there, I went and printed the layout of the grocery store. I even went online and found out which aisle each product was supposed to be on, and I color-coded the stuff he needed to get. I left it for him on the table and then went to take the boys. While I was doing schoolwork during their practice, my dad called me, asking why I felt the need to color-code a map for him like he was a toddler in need of specific instruction. I replied saying that I only thought the map might make it easier for him to find the things I put on the list, since I also made sure that everything was in stock online. It's been hours since we've gotten back home, and he's very clearly upset with me, but he did get the stuff on the list this time. I don't know. I think maybe I just made him feel like an idiot, and that's why he's upset. Was the map thing a little too much? Not the jerk. Your dad is asking too much of you, and he's avoiding his responsibility as the parent. He could and should learn their schedules. He just doesn't want to. You should have a serious talk with him about how he either steps up or he hires help. Can't justify paying me? No problem. Just before lockdown, I worked for a small telecom company that did contract work for a national cell carrier. We'll call them Crab Inc. and Big Wireless. I was hired on as a full-time employee for Crab Inc. along with every other technician, and we were not contractors. Important later. I was good at my job. I've been in the field for over 20 years, so I knew my stuff, and most problems were easy enough to troubleshoot and repair. But sometimes we needed a second tech to help out with bigger issues, which is understandable in our field. Crab Inc. was shady, unbeknownst to us at the bottom of the ladder, but we were about to find out. About 4 months in, new orders came down the chain that from henceforth, we were to do double trips on every ticket. This meant we had to drive out with no parts, assess a problem, then make a return trip with parts to fix it. 2 trips equals double pay for the company. even on simple things like pushing a reset button. 2 trips, no excuses. Then they began cutting our hours, tracking our every move, and redoing our timesheets after submitting it, with the excuse of, employees are stealing time and we're going to prove it. The latest rule was a good one. All employees must work at least 2 tickets each day in order to be considered for a full 8 hours of pay and 40 hours per week. No ticket, no pay. With this, they began holding mandatory bi-weekly meetings to go over every minute of our trips, overlaying GPS data, timestamps, travel distance, etc. They docked pay for gas station stops, bathroom breaks, phone calls, everything. They even tried to not pay us for these very meetings because our trucks were off and couldn't prove we were working. Buddy, I'm not a contractor. I'm a full-time employee. Enter glorious malicious compliance. See, the thing is, I don't take too kindly to people stealing from my paycheck and gaslighting me about it. And apparently, the other employees felt the same way. Give me one solid night of prep work and I'll beat you at your own game. The next weekend, I held a meeting of my own with the techs, and after some explanation, we all decided that the company was absolutely right. 2 trips, 2 tickets, every minute accounted for, and the GPS data to prove it. Monday morning, meeting rolls around, and every tech drove to the nearest site to have our mandatory 2-hour meeting. The trucks aren't at home and running the entire time. Our daily tickets come in, and we drive directly to the site, idle for 2 hours while we check out the problem, then do our second trip to get the parts, as instructed, and spend 2 hours fixing it, drive time not included. A second daily ticket comes in, and what's this? I can't seem to figure out the problem. I guess I'll have to call another tech who only had 1 ticket to help me. Glad he was free. Let's ponder this problem for 2 hours while wasting fuel. Now we need parts. Looks like we both have to go get them. Return trip complete. Another 2 hours to fix the problem. Let's see how we did. First ticket, 2 hours assessment plus 1 hour travel time, GPS logged. 2-hour return trip plus 1 hour travel time, GPS logged. Second ticket, same thing, all logged. Hey boss, Crab Inc. owes every tech 64 hours of work this week. Let's check the math and GPS logs just to be sure. Oh, and for some reason, the fuel expenses went up. But at least we have the GPS data you need for our extremely accurate PowerPoint presentation. Update per request. Crab Inc. folded from embezzlement, misappropriation of lockdown funds, and sued by Big Wireless for 2 trips, no excuse, among other things. There were a few jail sentences handed out. Not sure if anyone got a piece of that pie. Am I the jerk for giving my future mother-in-law an ultimatum around paying for our wedding venue? I, Victoria, 32, female, am marrying Alex, 48, male, in 2024. We live on the East Coast, but are both from the southern United States, and Alex's family is essentially royalty in their hometown. His parents have a very visible local business, sponsor kids' sports teams, tithe heavily in church, and have their own jingle in commercials. Alex's mother, Frida, decided right away that I'm a gold digger because I come from a tiny town that she refers to as a patch of dirt in the middle of nowhere, and my government salary, which is public record, is less than half of Alex's, though we're both government attorneys. She constantly goes between making digs about my bland wardrobe to making a big deal out of buying me things like coffee and implying that I should be grateful that she and his father Fred are so generous and can do things like host us over the holidays. At Thanksgiving, Alex and I said that we were close to finding a venue, but the one we were looking at had quoted us $25,000, which we didn't want to pay. Not because we didn't have the money, but because it was just out of our stated budget. Frida immediately said that of course Alex wouldn't want to pay that since he'd be paying all by himself, and made a show of telling us that she and Fred would pay for the wedding. At the same time, they said that they expected us to get a prenup because Alex needed to protect himself and his family in case anything happened. We were going to do one anyway, so we shrugged and agreed. Frida immediately began telling everyone in town that she and Fred were paying for the whole wedding, and people kept coming up to me with thinly disguised sympathy to say how nice it must be to have a dream wedding due to Frida's generosity. Alex and I engaged counsel and have been passing our prenup between ourselves and our lawyers. Frida pestered Alex about it so much that he finally told her the holdup is with my counsel because my assets are more complicated to deal with than his. Even though he's told her before that I'm not a gold digger and didn't need his money, it apparently didn't sink in until now. She looked up everything from my property records to salary scales at my old big law firm, and apparently realized that I'm worth nearly as much as she and Fred are. When she confronted me, I told her that she could either pay for the venue and I would continue to publicly agree with everyone that she was being generous to her new daughter-in-law, or that she could back out. We had changed venues, and then I'd explain to everyone that she thought I had too much money. She hates both of these options, since one involves losing money, she thought she could lord over me, and the other involves losing face, since she told everyone in town I don't have any money and I'm after Alex's. So she ran off to bed with a migraine. Alex thinks I'm being too harsh on her, but I'm not so sure. Not the jerk, but you have to seriously consider marrying into a family like this. What you need to find out is where Alex stands with his parents and what his values are versus theirs. Is he a mama's boy that lets his mom make all the decisions for him, and he defers all decisions to her and his father? If he does, then you really need to think twice about marrying him. He needs to cut the apron strings and back you as his wife, future wife. You basically need to know that he will have your back and will stand up for you, and even to the point where he will limit contact with his parents if they manipulate and gaslight. What do you think is going to happen when you have kids? Is grandma deciding how to bring up your own kids? Does Alex have any siblings with kids? What's their relationship with his parents? Have you spent time with them to get an idea of how controlling everyone is? Or do the kids' parents decide how they want to parent their kids? Has Alex been married before or had a long-term relationship? Does he have any kids? He's not old, but he's not young either. Does he want any? Do you? The ultimatum you gave your mother-in-law is neither here nor there. It's a lot of money, but may not be a lot if you're rich. It's the marriage that's important. If mother-in-law wants to plan your wedding as though it was hers, perhaps having an earlier, small wedding in a location that's important to you is something worth considering. Even eloping. You don't want someone else taking over. Even if you win against your mother-in-law when it comes to wedding decisions, can you be so sure that she won't try and sabotage it? Or that she'll wear black and a dour demeanor when making everyone around her miserable on your wedding day? Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.